What's up, everyone? In this video, we're going to be going over the crypto markets, some major news, why Ethereum could be hitting $4,000 this month, and why I'm very bullish on Ethereum, as well as go over some other stuff and some important NFT news. Before we get started, I do appreciate if you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell to be notified for regular crypto videos. All right, everyone, so we do have a small dip in the markets today. Bitcoin down 5% and Ethereum down 7%. Some altcoins down 10% and more. Dogecoin down 15.7%, pretty rough. So I do think this is a healthy correction since we've had a huge rally over the last couple of weeks. As you guys can see here, we went from around $37,500 Bitcoin all the way up to $48,000, a $10,000 jump there with no real correction in that time. So this correction right now I do think is healthy. We'll see how things go, but as long as it holds over $40,000 and fundamentals and good news keeps coming in, I do think this will continue in an uptrend towards mid-year. I am pretty bullish, especially the stuff we went over in the last video with Terra Luna buying $10 billion worth of Bitcoin over time. That is something we did talk about. So Terra actually bought the dip, and so did MicroStrategy. These two companies have been buying and will continue buying every major dip. Bitcoin, MicroStrategy has over 125,000, and then we had Terra at 30,000. They just bought another 5,000 Bitcoin, so they're catching up to Tesla on this list. And with these two companies continuing to buy every major dip, that is taking more and more Bitcoin out of circulation, and the supply gets smaller. Anytime we do get massive demand back into the markets, that's just less supply there is available for the public to buy. So that means with more buying pressure, it's going to go up much easier over time. So this supply shock is good, even though right now we are seeing a somewhat of a downtrend in Google Trends on Ethereum and Bitcoin. We can see here both are down, slightly down from the last couple weeks. So once these levels start peaking back out to what they were previously here, like we had back in May when the markets, Bitcoin did hit new all-time highs, that's when we're going to be seeing $100,000 Bitcoin again, or even more. So hopefully at some point in 2022 we do get peak demand in the markets again, a lot of retail interest. I do think that's a huge possibility, and it is good to see that Bitcoin has been climbing. It did hit new all-time highs here after it did hit that new all-time high back in May without that much demand. So that is something to note as well. More whales buying up more Bitcoin, taking out of circulation. It takes less demand to push Bitcoin to new all-time highs. So that means when we do see new peak demand like this, like we saw back in May of 2021, that's going to mean Bitcoin's going to be at a much higher peak than it did hit at that time. So that's also something to consider. If we look at NFT and crypto search, we did have both trending at different times here. Crypto was peaking out here back in October, and then NFTs had their time in January where it did peak out, and NFTs have been on a pretty sharp decline, both in somewhat of a downtrend right here as well. So NFTs are actually looking pretty good on OpenSea though. Bored Apes holding over 110 ETH floor price. Kumas have been doing, or Azukis have been doing great at a 26 ETH floor. They just launched this other set as well with a 5 ETH floor. Mutant Apes at 25 ETH. Doodles are on the rise again as well. So NFT space isn't doing that bad, but with the smaller sets, you do need demand to be peaking in general in Google Trends as well. So once that's all peaking again as well for NFT and crypto search, everything in the markets is going to be doing much better. And I do think headed towards the mid-year, a lot of the fear will clear up, and we will be starting to see both of these markets begin to recover. So we now have both Terra and MicroStrategy competing and buying up every major Bitcoin dip. This is great for the long term and will help with the supply shock. Anytime demand returns, we're going to see the markets doing much better, like we just talked about. So Terra bought more than MicroStrategy this time around. They added 5,000 Bitcoin to their total holdings, now having 35,768 Bitcoin. And Terra did state that they're only getting started with this, and they do have billions more to be putting in over time. So initially planned to include 3 billion in Bitcoin reserves. That number will expand to $10 billion with additional Bitcoin purchases after that, depending on how much UST is minted. So that's pretty huge. Creator of Terra did state they will never stop buying up Bitcoin on the dips and everything. They just acquired $230 million worth of Bitcoin. MicroStrategy went in and bought 4,197 Bitcoin. So nearly 10,000 Bitcoin was bought in total between these two companies. Now imagine, since we currently have these two companies, if this was 5 companies or 10 companies doing this, how much more of an effect it would have on the markets. And over time, the more companies doing this and the more big names doing this and whales doing this, the less Bitcoin will be available. So anytime demand does start rising again, it's much easier for the price to rise. All right, everyone. So I do want to discuss why I'm very bullish on Ethereum. We also have this article, 3 reasons why Ethereum price can hit $4,000 in April. Some good information and data here I do want to go over. So I'm much more bullish on Ethereum than I am on Bitcoin. Ethereum being the most used blockchain in the space. All these NFT projects, DeFi projects, new altcoins, and Metaverse stuff being built on Ethereum with every single transaction. Some Ethereum is burned, so they do have major upgrades coming also. So Google searches for Ethereum merge spikes. So we did see that the Google search for Ethereum by itself is actually on a small downtrend, but this is an upgrade coming to Ethereum. So merge, also called ETH2, refers to Ethereum network's full transition to proof of stake from proof of work. And this is one of the reasons why people think Ethereum went from 2,500 to over 3,500 on the last couple of weeks here. So going from 3,500 up to 4,000, of course, it's very possible, especially if we get some good news in the markets in general. That can very easily be achieved. So we do have Ethereum total value staked is also rising, meaning more and more Ethereum is being being locked into staking for the long term, since that is being locked up for quite a while. Also, exchange ETH reserves at 3-year lows. That's pretty insane. Also, that's great to see. That means more and more people are going onto crypto exchanges, buying Ethereum, sending it out to hardware wallets to hold for the long term, whether they're staking it or just holding it for the value to go up in the long term. So that's definitely a good sign. The more of that we see, the less Ethereum that is available on exchanges. And doesn't matter where Google trends are at and where demand is at. The more Ethereum that's leaving exchanges, the more of a supply shock there will be when demand does return. And if you have this many people continuing to buy and take it off exchanges, that shows huge confidence, and eventually demand will return when there is future major developments. And as we can see, so many major companies adopting crypto and the metaverse and NFTs, it's inevitable major demand will spike again at some point. So more great data here from Glassnode Ethereum. Number of addresses with a non-zero balance is on the rise. This is good because it does show growing adoption and distribution of ETH. More people holding ETH, more people in the network. More people building on Ethereum and developing is always a good thing, meaning more and more users coming, and the more people buying, the more supply shock there is. And I do think another major thing here that they didn't mention in this article is that institutions are actually starting to buy up Ethereum as well. And I do think that will become the norm, where we start seeing these companies that are not only dollar cost averaging and buying major amounts of Bitcoin, but also doing this for Ethereum, especially companies that are more geared towards the metaverse and NFTs and gaming are more likely to really hold large balance of Ethereum than Bitcoin, since they're getting use case out of that as well. So also technical analysis hints at 4,000 ETH price. The charts are looking good for this, of course, with the supply shock. All we really need here is a major surge of demand, like we saw back in May of 2021. We saw something like that. I think Ethereum price would easily break $5,000 for the first time ever. So there's been talk about Ethereum 2 upgrades for years. There's been constant delays. A lot of people just think it's never going to happen, but we actually are getting close now to the actual transition from proof of work to proof of stake. There are multiple phases coming after that as well, but regardless, this is a good sign. This news did break on March 15th, and that's actually when the market started picking up. Ethereum around $2,500 at that time, went up over $1,000 in just 2 weeks, not really having much of a correction. If we check the chart here, we can see this is around where it was announced here, and then just straight upward movement over those 2 weeks, no real correction. So we're finally getting a small correction here, which I think is healthy. And leading up to that upgrade and other bullish things in the space, definitely pretty bullish, especially with companies buying up major amounts of Bitcoin. Seeing a supply shock for both the Bitcoin and Ethereum is definitely good. And like I said, all we really need is demand to start picking up in general, and that's really going to help that supply shock kick in and really see the effects of that, where prices start surging for all of these cryptocurrencies. When you get Bitcoin and Ethereum surging to new all-time highs, that's when you're going to start seeing the smaller cap of altcoins really blasting off as well, and that's where the real profits are to be made. So If you can learn to flip through those effectively, you can make a ton of money in the crypto space. It's also extremely high risk though, especially the newer the coin is and the lower the market cap it is, the higher risk it's going to be as well. So you do have to understand that and de-risk a little bit and diversify. So we do have some other news here. Elon Musk's Twitter investment puts a 150% rally into play for Dogecoin, which is interesting. They say that because Dogecoin was down 15% today. Even after that news, people are expecting Elon Musk to implement Dogecoin into Twitter tips. Since we have Bitcoin already, it wouldn't be too hard to implement Ethereum and some other cryptocurrencies. And of course, since he's a big fan of Dogecoin, he would most likely do that to give it that utility. So this is actually the first time I am considering buying a good amount of Dogecoin since Elon Musk did join the board there. I do think he's going to continue pushing this and giving it utility over the long term. But of course, how much can one person do? Even if he is the richest man in the world, how much real utility can he give this to drive enough demand to push the price up to an actual dollar? So will Dogecoin ever hit $1? We have no idea. But as long as Elon Musk is supporting it and backing it and continuing to drive utility to it, other people will also. And in the long term, it's most likely to hit $1, especially with the crypto space growing as a whole. So we do have some other talk about NFTs in the metaverse. Meta may introduce token and digital currency lending services to apps. Of course, Meta being full on the metaverse, they're going to have to implement cryptos and NFTs into that. If they don't, there are going to be competitors that do that, and that's really going to leave a big majority of their audience out. So the virtual currency, which employees have reportedly dubbed Zuckbucks, will be aimed to use in the metaverse. So we have had talks about Facebook creating a crypto before. They had problems with this. It was going to be a stable coin. They ran into a lot of legal issues. It just never happened. Now they're discussing a currency for their metaverse platform. Of course, that would make sense as well. And actually would be better if it was an actual cryptocurrency rather than a stable coin for the company. So even though I'm not a fan of Facebook and Instagram as much, I do think Meta is good for the NFT crypto space in general. There is going to be competitors, and the more competition there is, the better it is for the entire space, in my opinion. So as long as there's a better alternative to Meta, I will be using that instead of Meta, but it's always good to have that competition in the space. So crypto trading to move to the metaverse, says developer focused study. So that'll be interesting, actually going into the metaverse to do your crypto trading and your NFT trading. Imagine how popular that's going to be, going into the metaverse, being able to have your own properties and stuff where you can have your NFTs on display, have your own setup and design. I really think that's going to be very popular in the metaverse, especially for those celebrities that are buying Bored Apes and these really expensive NFTs. They're going to be heavy in the metaverse displaying these, probably have unique properties and stuff that you can go visit, check out all their NFTs and stuff. So that's really what I'm buying the majority of my NFTs for, is for the metaverse to go mainstream. If you do buy the good blue chip projects early on and you are able to hold long term until the metaverse is going more mainstream, that's where the true profits are going to be made on these blue chip NFTs, which is why I've held my Bored Apes to over 1000x at this point, and many other NFTs over 10 to 20x also. So more good news for NFTs. ESPN and Tom Brady's autograph platform ink a multi-year NFT deal. So this is interesting. Tom Brady's autograph platform, I think, is more geared towards sports, which is great utility for NFTs. Since a lot of sports stuff is collectibles, like one-of-a-kind things, signed autograph stuff, you can make a NFT out of this to give it proof of authenticity and then make it an NFT. Sell it on a platform like this, I think, is really going to help. And ESPN locking in a deal with them is even more bullish now. So all kinds of utility is going to come to NFTs, and the more adoption that NFTs do get, the better it is for crypto also, which I don't understand why people are so against NFTs that are in crypto. The more adoption we get for both, the better. These do go hand in hand, especially in the metaverse. This is all going to start being integrated together. We're starting to see a lot of NFT projects create cryptocurrencies and vice versa. And a lot of these blockchains in the top 20 have a lot of their volume generated from NFTs also, and that's becoming more popular. Cardano NFT is really starting to pick up now with the recent Snoop Dogg deal, which I am going to be going over more in a separate video. So more interesting news, Starbucks announces an NFT initiative. They did announce this will be happening sometime before the end of the year. So that's definitely good for the NFT space. More adoption, more users and stuff. Personally, I don't buy NFTs from big companies like this, but it is bullish because it just brings more awareness and users to the space, which does help the entire space grow. So we are going to start seeing more and more companies doing this. I think more companies will get into NFTs than they will crypto. It does make more sense. It's easier to create NFTs than it is to accept crypto as payment or get involved in that way. So that helps bring adoption to the crypto space also, which is good because generally people do use crypto if they are in NFTs. So I am bullish on both NFTs and crypto for end of year, holding a lot of both. And NFTs are so new right now. We do have to keep that in mind. It was really only mid 2021 when NFTs really started picking up adoption. It's still so early to the space. So many new developments happening, a new utility coming, so many new companies getting involved. It is inevitable that things do start going up again at some point, and it will come in waves. You do have to keep that in mind. Also, just like crypto, there will be massive bull runs, massive peak demand, and then things do drop off. So you do want to have that planned and work that into your entry and exit strategy. Know where you want to take profits and know where you want to be buying and be ready to execute on that. And that will make you much more successful in the long term. So that's it for this video. Like I said, I am trying to be more regular on videos again, trying to do 5 videos per week. So if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. And again, I do appreciate you guys watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.